An honor and a pleasure once again to be here on behalf of the Leakey Foundation to introduce the topic for today's talk. What have we learnt from primates in the last 40 years of primatology? One thing I've learned is that primates are extremely lucky. They don't have to wear reading glasses as they get older and older. 40 years, because that's how long the Leakey Foundation has been in existence. I'm not going to say anything more about this topic because you're going to be learning a lot about it from all the rest of the speakers. My other pleasure today is to introduce Ira Flatow as today's moderator. I hope there's no American in the audience who needs Ira Flatow introduced to them. He's extremely famous publicizer of science. I know him best from his hosting Science on Friday, a wonderful hour-long series. A wonderful job of making science intelligible to the public, and what's way more difficult, making scientists make themselves intelligible to the public. For decades, he's been at the forefront of science journalism. He's written popular books about science, his latest one, From Evolution to Nanotechnology. All of us scientists, as we all know, we know more and more about less and less until we know everything about nothing. Clearly, Ira Flatow knows more and more about more and more until he knows everything about everything. I could talk for 10 minutes about all the contributions that he's made to the publicization of science. I'll close by mentioning an Emmy Award for his PBS series, Newton's Apple. The last 10 years, as far as I can tell from his CV, every single year he's received a major award for publicizing science, and therefore, of course, himself contributing to science. A pleasure and an honor to introduce Ira Flatow to you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. I know what it's like to be at my own funeral now. It's a pleasure for me to be here today. I'm very happy to be in San Francisco, very happy to be working with the Leakey Foundation. I have been working in science as a science journalist for almost as long as the Leakey Foundation has been around, for almost 40 years. And in fact, I was telling this to Camilla last night, that Louis Leakey was the first major scientist I ever interviewed. Back in 1971, right before he died, I found myself at a science meeting. I had just been a science reporter for a year or two, and here I was very green, and I found myself in a room with Louis Leakey, just me and him, about this far apart. And I said to myself, wow, you've watched all those National Geographic specials and whatever, you know who he is. You've got to say something to him, right? You're supposedly a journalist and you're right here with him, but what can you say that won't make you sound like you're an idiot, you know? Because you're here with Louis Leakey. So I turned, I said, I'm thinking of Dr. Leakey, I'm remembering all these things I've seen on television. What makes humans different? What made humans different from the apes and everybody else? And he looked at me and he said, the opposable thumb. The opposable thumb that made us all different. If you remember how he used to speak like that. And he went on for like 15, 20 minutes just regaling me with great stories, and I felt so much better, you know. And he took time out to talk to someone he had never seen before in his whole life. And scientists don't like to do that. They don't like to talk to other journalists who they don't know, because they have a history of getting burned by print reporters and other journalists who don't cover science. So I'm very happy to be here. And be a participant in this wonderful lecture series. But I'm also going to be the bad guy today. I mean, I'm going to be serving as a moderator up here, but I also have to be a traffic cop like I am on Science Friday, where I interrupt people if they go too long or ask questions. So let me lay out a few of the ground rules that I'm going to have to be enforcing today. And that is, please, if you're on the panel and we ask you to comment, that you try to limit your answers to 2 minutes. Asking a scientist to limit their answers to 2 minutes is quite a deal these days, especially because they have so many so's in the answer. So this, and everything they answer has got a so in it. No interference rules. Turn off your gadgets. There are no sidebar conversations. Please don't try to interrupt one another. And put your cell phones on stun or whatever we do in the meantime, you know, to vibrate it so they don't ring out and interrupt. Let everybody finish their comments. This goes to the general audience too. Let everybody finish their comments. If you have a question, please ask it as a question. The old Jeopardy, please frame it as a question instead of making a little speech, which we like to hear, but that gets a little too long sometimes. So try to cut that down a little bit. And let's be polite to one another as we talk about the issues. And as time allows, we will have microphones in the audience here for you to ask questions. So we will get to those as quickly as we can.